One of the last places where I expect I would see social justice scroll in would be board games. I mean, simply because you buy a board game and then you play it with your friends and family. Especially like Dungeons and Dragons, it's literally up to the GM to create whatever world he wants. And the company can't do anything against it. I mean, you buy the product and then you go home to play with your friends and family. They have no control over that. There's nothing. Well, no, apparently Dungeons and Dragons is problematic, didn't you know? I believe it was like last month when Wizards of the Coast said they are going to deal away with racial stereotypes, such as I believe it was orcs and drow, like the dark elves. And I wonder, like, if they understand what they're selling anymore. It's like that's the whole point of fantasy, that every race has something specific to it in order to create drama. So, for example, the orcs, they're conquerors. They like combat. The draw, they're slavers. They take human prisoners, and they're a matriarchy, and all of this creates this interesting drama. Like, what would happen if a player plays a draw and another player plays an orc, and they're in the same party? Like, how can you get them to cooperate? It's like Lord of the Rings, right? Like, what happens when you take a dwarf and an elf and you put them together and they have to work together against this big evil? Like that's really what fantasy is about. It's the whole point of this subgenre. Like, it's the pillar stone, I would add. Without it, like, why even have these different races? Why even have elves? Why even have orc? What's the point if they're literally the same and they're all acting the same? Like, why even bother? It's literally what they did with Star Trek Picard, where the Klingons are acting like humans. The Romulans are also acting like humans. Like, everyone is acting like humans, and it's like, okay, well, then what's the point in having these different factions? Like, the only reason you would have them if they have different philosophies and they have like different ways of being. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you meet that one orc that isn't like the others. You meet the wizard orc, because it's like, wow. But yeah, they want to deal away with that. And I remember, like, they were saying that from the beginning, Dungeons and Dragons was diverse and this is a strength. And it's like, what are you talking about? Have you played your own game? Like, have you played what you are selling? Because out of all the classes, human is the most overpowered one. Like, human is the class that gives you an extra feat and it allows you to take an extra stat. Like, that is just so far ahead than all the other classes. Like, the only reason you would play an elf is because of flavor, right? Like, it has the ability to resist magical sleep. So, like, there might be an encounter. Well, the elf is really good. It's getting dark vision, meaning that it doesn't need torches and stuff like that. But, like, overall, if you're min-maxing, you are going to play a human. And even then, it's like, races really don't matter in Dungeons and Dragons. Like, what does matter is classes. Okay, like, if you're for example, a human, it doesn't really matter as much as, like, whether you want to be a mage or you want to be a fighter. Like, that is the thing that's the most important. But yeah, so, they did this really weird, just like recognizing that their company was a racist. It's like, okay, well, if your company was racist, who gets fired? Who gets fired? Like, I'm so sick and tired of all these companies saying, oh yeah, we were being racist up till now. Get someone fired. Someone needs to lose their job over this, right? Like, no, seriously. Don't we fire racists in a civilized society? They need to get fired. So if you're going to come up and make these changes, then you decide that up till now it was problematic. Okay, well, someone needs to lose their job over this. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Otherwise, you're just, doing the correct talk. And then your heart is not in the right place. You don't want to see change. You just do the correct talk, which is kind of weird because, like, the people that want the correct talk, most of them aren't even their customers. Like, if you go on Twitter, these are the people alienating other customers for a wrong thing. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time. Apparently now, they claim that they want the removal of the term race altogether. Here's my stance on it. I generally don't care that much. I mean, it's not that they're even racist to begin with. I mean, they kind of are if you think about it. Because here's the thing: a human and an orc is not like in real life, right? It's not like between an Asian and an African American or something. No, like in the game, you actually do have humans have different races, right? Like you do have African Americans in the game. No, no, no. It's something completely different because like an elf has completely different abilities that humans don't have, like dark vision, the ability to be more agile, like these things. A dwarf has better constitution, and I think they have dark vision as well. So it's a lot more different. It's almost like they're different species, but then you notice that, hold on a little bit, like half elves exist. So they're kind of different species, but they can still breed with one another. I don't think like you can have a half dwarf. I think you can have a half orc. So it's kind of complicated in a way, right? Hashtag Tim Pool. It's complicated. I don't think it's complicated for Tim Pool anymore. I think it's Make America Great Again for him now. But yeah. So they want to remove this, and here's why it's interesting. Who do you think wants this to be removed? Huh? Is it the Christians? Like, are the Christians advocating for race to be removed from Dungeons and Dragons? I don't think so. Is it the Muslims? Do the Muslims want race to be removed? Like, no, they don't. Do normal people want this to be removed? No, normal people don't want this to be removed. It's only like a very, very small and vocal minority of people that are bothered with this. Like, the type of people that really have nothing better to do than to champion for things that really don't matter. Like, the world is not going to be a better or a worse place because Dungeons and Dragons removed the word race from their game. Show me a study that claims that this is the case. Like, show me a study that if Dungeons and Dragons changes tomorrow, all these problems, they're not going to go away. So it's just like some twat that's like, all right, well, I'm going to do something, like I'm going to bully this company, and all of you are going to clap as I do it. And you can see like most of the engagements, I guess I could say, which aren't even that many. Like, most people don't even care about it. And honestly, I don't care about it either. Like, it's not something that would affect the enjoyment of my game. But what it does show is it shows a symptom. Imagine if you have a chronic cough. You can live with it. It's not a big deal. It's not the biggest issue. But it can be a symptom of a cancer, which is a big deal. It is a big issue. It is the same thing here. Like, it doesn't matter that they want to change the word race. I don't care. But it's a symptom that they have been co-opted with some of the most toxic people in the gaming fan base. The type of people that can't help themselves, but like to only discuss who we're going to ban, who we're going to censor in order to remove the toxicity from our brand. In the case of board games, they really can't do that. Like, nothing can stop you from going to a store and buying the board game, right? But expect now to have very lazy stories, to have poor quality writing, because all of the competent people, the people that know how to create, are going to get fired from the company in order to make room for the people with the correct politics, but lack of ability to create. Because if they had the ability to create, they would probably also have the wrong politics. And expect you're going to see the art style to be just Californian art type, Cal Arts. Women looking like men, and I'm not talking about the way they dress. No, I'm talking like strong jawlines, broad shoulders, very small chest. Like expect that type of art style to dominate this company now, and expect them to have really, really hot takes on Twitter about the U.S. president and whatnot. Right? Like this is what you're going to get. In exchange, all the artists that you like and all the people that you like are going to get fired in 1 year or two. Like that's what it tells me when I see that the company goes like, oh yes, we're going to remove this word that really no one cares about. Hey, look at this, remove the word race from D&D sounds stupid and soft to me. This is the kind of thing that makes it so easy for conservatives to own us lips, toughened up a bit by people. There was like another saying, it's like, oh no, this is not soft. This is just them making the game more accessible. Like, the person that claims this can't name me a single individual. Like, give me a name of a person that doesn't play D&D because it has the word race in it. Like, get the fuck out. Like this is what annoys me. It's like they make these claims without having to ever back them up, without having to ever show any evidence. But like, it sounds good, doesn't it? Like, imagine how strong they must feel as human beings. It's like, oh, they're the only ones that are powerful enough to force themselves to play a game that has that word in it, but no one else can. Like, all the other people are weaklings, and in order for other people to be able to play the same game that he plays, that word needs to go, because other people just don't have what it takes, like, you know, the predominant white leftist. So yeah, like, that's my stance on it. Like, to me, it's not a problem that they decided to make this change, you know, because in a way it kind of makes sense. To me, it's more the problem that they decided to stop stereotyping races, because that doesn't make sense. I mean, it's not the genre for it. Orcs should be orcs, Drow should be Drow. Like, if you want to make orcs the good guys, go for it, but like, have another race that is going to take their place. Because like, when I play D&D, and I want to make like a low level encounter, I need to have my goblins, I need to have my orcs, like I need to have the party justified in going and pacifying, you know, like helping a village fight off a goblin invasion. Because if the goblins are morally complex creatures and they're capable of rationale and choosing between good and evil, then the paladin and the party, instead of fighting them, which is what I plan as a GM, he's going to try to talk to them. He's going to try to do diplomacy with them. And like, that's the point. Like, there needs to be some creatures that you don't do diplomacy with. Because like, at the end of the day, this is a game about sword and board. It's a game about adventurers, about doing things that the ballad would sing about. It's not like, if you want a game where it's only diplomacy and dialogue, there's other board games for you. Like, if you're into that, there are other things you can choose from. This is not it. Though it could be it, you know, it's up to the GM. If the GM just wants to have like a very low magic, low fighting type of campaign where everything is talky, blah, 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 you can have that, but like, the game is not tailored for that. The classes are tailored for damage. Like, every single thing you do when you level up, it's like how many dices you can throw in order to do more damage. The game is focused around spell casting and fighting dragons. It's on the box. It shows someone fighting a dragon, you know, like... But anyway, it's kind of weird that I gotta explain this. Yeah. So, you know, like, these... It's like Lord of the Rings. Like, imagine if the orcs from Lord of the Rings would be morally complex. You know, if they would send a guy as a diplomat and the orc would start talking and, you know, like, he would try to engage in diplomacy and he would make sense, you would just change the entire story. Like, it wouldn't be about Isengard and the Ents and whatnot. No. It would now have to focus on the morality. It's like, well, are the orcs actually being oppressed? And it's like, okay, like, that could be an interesting story, but it wouldn't be Lord of the Rings. Like, like, all the fans of Lord of the Rings would stop watching that type of story. They want to see a band of adventurers going inside Helm's Deep and fighting a cave troll. They want to see a big siege battle where the orcs are coming in and Aragorn arrives with an undead army. Like, it's a genre that I think should be preserved. I don't think this genre should be destroyed. Now, there are other genres where this doesn't exist. You know, like, there are other genres that are more complex and they have like shades of gray and whatnot. And that's fine too. Like, there are other people who are into that. I wouldn't go into that and start like imposing my worldview on it. You know, Game of Thrones, for example. Like, Game of Thrones doesn't really have... I mean, I think it has, like, the Night King and the Undead, which I'm pretty sure even in the books they're going to have a reason for being there or whatnot. They have, like, the Children of the Forest, and they're complex and whatnot. And that's fine, you know, it's a different type of strategy. It's a different type of medium. It's a different type of thing. That's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's not what the core is about. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section.